Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On this episode, I'm revealing my 2018 Dodge Charger. So this Dodge Charger, it has 130,000 miles. It's an ex-highway patrol car from Ohio. I picked it up on govdeals.gov. Total price with taxes, fees, and shipping was roughly 6,800 bucks. So I got it here. It does have some issues. You know, I always buy cars that have some sort of issue, and we're gonna fix it, get it back on the road, and then we're gonna cut it to turn it into a Smyth Ute. So more on that to come soon. Let me show you all the ins and outs of this car. So this is my first time ever getting a Dodge Charger. I've had maybe one or two Dodge products before, but they're all trucks. And it's really nice. I love how spacious it is. I love how tech focused the inside is. And this has the all-wheel drive V8. So it's a really well-spec'd patrol car. But it does come with some issues like I mentioned earlier. So 5.7 V8 auto all-wheel drive, 130K. It was diagnosed as having a head gasket issue and it overheats. Has plenty of dents, but the great part is, like it says, it was driven in. So it did not have to get towed in, which is a good sign, because if it was towed in, chances are it doesn't work. If it's driven in and it overheated, the chances are, you know, it got pretty hot. So hopefully we can save it. So taking a look around, there is some residue on here, all over. You can make out the wings right here. We got some dings and dents all over the car, and we have some places where they covered up holes from the antennas and all of that good stuff. But it's great for what we need it for. As you can see, we got a couple of scrapes, dings and scratches there. More stuff that was removed. They got this huge dent right on top of the wheel arch, but no problem. Same thing with the residue on this side, but here it is. So, column shifter. It doesn't have any of the police hardware that you would see in the center console. It's really, really nice. Uh-oh, let's unlock it. Thankfully, they kept the seat. I know they had to swap them out with probably the hard plastic seats, so they're in excellent condition. We're gonna use it for now, but we have a bigger plan later on that'll get rid of those. It's really funny on how they deal with the prisoners. They don't have the full-on lock mechanism, but it did come with it. It's in the trunk, so I'll show you that in a minute. But everything looks good there. Hopping in. Starts right up. 50% oil life, no light on the dash. It has the 7-inch screen. Pretty nice. I like it a lot. The older ones, I think pre-2017, they have the 4-inch screen, so this is nice. It's got the phone hookup and all of that, so it's really great. Oh, that's the trunk popper. Okay. All right, fuel doors here. All of that works. All the windows work. That's great. Yeah, it's fully functional. Got my spotlight here. That's awesome. Let's take a look underneath the hood, and then we'll end with what's in the trunk. Here we are. Awesome 5.7 liter V8. I think 345 horsepower, 395 foot-pounds of torque. It's a little dusty, a little dirty underneath here, but all in all, still good. I'll cut it off because we're gonna get to work on this in just a few moments. In the trunk, I've got some parts here. Don't mind that air filter. This is some hot air stuff that I was just working on. These are the door locks and the window buttons for the rear seat. Here's the retrofit kit. And thankfully they included all of this because I'm sure this is going to be at least $100 bill just to get that stuff. And I'll probably sell that on to the next owner because I don't think I'll need it. I really like this car because it has the keyless entry. So it's not just a fleet car that has no features, no options. It's pretty well spec'd. It's got everything you would want and need. Push button start, remote keyless entry, all-wheel drive, V8 power. And what I really like about this all-wheel drive system is it's rear-wheel drive, and then it'll kick in the front wheels when it determines it needs it. So you can do burnouts and it won't hurt it. You can, with aftermarket equipment, you can even program it so you can flip on all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive with a switch. Halogen headlights, but they look like they're LED if you look real close at the projector-looking lens. It's got the upgraded front end, so it's not as mean as the SRT or the Hellcat, but still looking good. Hubcaps, but we got a plan for that. All in all, it's a really nice unit, and at that price, you can't beat it. And I bet you I'll be able to fix that for a lot less than what you would imagine a new engine or replacement head gaskets would cost. So let me get into the garage and I can walk you through how we diagnosed it. All right, so we got the car parked in the garage, and here's what's going on. Whenever I start it up, I let it idle all the way to operating temperature, and it'll get into the 200s, and then it'll start to creep and climb up. Now, if I were to leave on the AC, I could see it creeping right into 220. But as soon as I turn on the heat and I turn it on max, the temperature would come on down, and I'd see it right around the 200 to 205 number, which is really on point because the thermostat opens up in this car at 190 or 195 degrees. So the temperature of the coolant should be around 10 degrees hotter than when the thermostat opens up. And the reason why it's creeping past that amount is due to bad fans. So underneath the hood, there are 2 fans on this charger. Because this has a severe cooling package, it has 2 fans. So one is down there and one is up here. And what I did, I disconnected this and I hooked up my power probe and I applied power. That fan turns on, but this one does not. And at max operating temperature into the 220s with AC on, you should have both fans on. So the fact that it's not coming on leads me to believe, hey, I need to check out that fan. And when I checked out that fan and applied power and ground, it did not turn. It's free, it's not binding or anything like that, but hey, these motors fail. So cop cars are always idling. They have thousands of hours of idling if they are in the patrol unit, and this one is no exception. So because of that, the fans are always going to be constantly turning, especially when you get into Midwest, high humidity and high heat regions in the South as well. So this car came from Ohio. I expect them to have 90+ degree temperature days. And you mix that with idling, your fan is going to go out at 130,000 miles, if not before. So I've got a replacement fan, sourced one online, and we're going to install this one right in the car. I have not heard the best things about aftermarket fans for these models, but this one is half the price of what the dealer is charging, and it comes with a warranty. So I'll drop the link in the description down for that. But we can turn our attention back to this car and get these cooling fans in. So starting off, we'll need an 8mm to remove the entire air intake system and the hose leading up to the intake. Then there are two 8mm bolts, one on each side of the fan. You just unscrew those and then you're ready to lift it out. Now, in order to get it out, you're gonna have to squeeze it past the serpentine belt system and a couple of hoses here. What I did was I pushed this clip up and rotated it out of the way. That'll give us more clearance when we get to the back of these fan motors and when they start to pop up. I disconnected this clip from the side of the fan and we'll just move them out of the way and should be enough room for us to pull everything out. So taking off the coolant overflow cap, I noticed that there is some contamination here. What we're seeing is coolant mixed in with oil. So I need to take a closer look at this. Let me take off my thermostat housing and see what's going on there. All right, so I got my thermostat housing off and it's not looking good. Take a look at this. This is of oil-like consistency. Smells like engine oil. We're low on engine oil as well. And just look at how slow it's coming out of there. So none of this looks good for me. As you can see, it's clearly melted. Let's get this thermostat out of here. Oh man, that's horrible. So many cars have an engine oil cooler, and this is where coolant goes in and out around this oil filter housing, and it cools down the oil temperature to basically what the coolant temperature is. When this oil cooler gets cracked, it has the ability to leak engine oil into your coolant, but not vice versa. That way your engine doesn't get damaged by coolant circulating with your oil, but your coolant passageways does get blocked up by an enormous amount of engine oil. Now, the silver lining in this is your oil is always under more pressure than your coolant. That means that your oiling system is not going to introduce coolant, but your engine oil is being pressurized more, so it's going to encroach into your coolant system because of the increased pressure. So thankfully it went that way. Otherwise, you'll end up with milkshake in your oil, and it'll look like you blew a head gasket. You would fix your head gasket, and then you come back and you're having the same issue all over again. Thankfully, when the oil cooler cracks, it's usually mixing oil into your coolant system. It is a pain because we're gonna have to flush out our entire coolant system, i.e. the reservoir, the radiator, the heater core, and the entire engine. But there are chemicals that you can buy at your local auto parts store that allow you to do that. And this is something that not only goes for a car like this, but there are some turbo Buicks that do use engine oil coolers as an aftermarket accessory. So you have to be well aware of this problem and know how to diagnose it. Now, with the engine overheating, with the coolant mixing with the oil in the coolant passageways, any regular technician may have incorrectly assumed that our head gasket's leaking and it's overheating because it's a head gasket issue. But we already proved that the fan is faulty. So the fan failing overheated the car, and at the same time, the oil cooler had failed. So it was just a perfect storm of events that led to this misdiagnosis and could have cost anybody else who bought it and continued along with the misdiagnosis thousands of dollars. So thankfully we figured it out. We got an oil cooler on the way. In the next episode, I'll tackle that. I'm still waiting on parts for this 87 Turbo T, so more on that and the rust repair to come. And we are almost done with an episode on the engine. We'll take it back down to the heads, replace the head gaskets with ones that are meant for Turbo Regal ones, and we'll measure our push rod preload, make sure that's right, and then we'll get it to a point where it's ready to go into the 84 GN that's sitting right outside. So if you like this video, if you like what we're doing, remember to like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments how I'm doing. Talk to you on the next one.